Senator Rounds, thanks for speaking with us today. We know that you're in favor of a balanced budget. It was certainly one of your focus when you were governor of South Dakota. Are you comfortable with the Treasury Secretary's assertion that any tax plan should be paid for with economic growth?
Yes. In fact, I was very pleased to hear that they were not going to try to do just simply a neutral one where the deductions were being taken away and then rates were being lowered. We really do need some additional dollars coming back into the economy if we're going to make it grow. The rates coming down is very important. We've got to be competitive. I like the idea of having, as he says, a business rate reduction, not just a corporate rate reduction. That applies to a lot of people with subchapter S and partnership operations as well. That's a positive move. It was in response to one of my questions. I really think we ought to consider just a flat out across the board down payment on tax reform and relief. And my suggestion was, let's just take 2 points off every single tax rate and see what happens. And if we did that, that would put money back into the economy and then take our time and work through all of those 74,000 pages that in some cases add on to the burden in terms of adding taxes on, but in some cases it taketh away the tax burden as well. And let's be very careful in our attempt to do tax simplification that we don't add tax burdens to the average Joe down there as well.
But so how ultimately is that going to work? Because if we do the kind of tax cuts that the administration is talking about, various analysts have looked at this and said, unfortunately, over a 10-year horizon, rates are going to have to come up within 3 years in order to be able to balance it if you can't agree it in the Senate. So how is this going to happen?
Well, first of all, I think it's a game that's played, and it's a game that's been played for years, and that is you do what you need to do in the near term, and then you say, we'll promise it, and we'll do something different 7, 8, 9 years down the road. What I really want to do is see something happen that John Kennedy did, that Ronald Reagan did. In Reagan's case, clearly it worked. We've got to rebuild the economy. We have a $1 trillion deficit that we're facing next year. We're $20 trillion in debt. Look, right now we only vote on 28% of the entire budget. We vote on 1.1 out of a $4 trillion budget. We will never fix this mess until we start voting on the entire budget and actually managing the entire budget. And at the same time, until we build this economy, we can't cut our way out of the mess that we're in. We have to build the economy, and one way you do it, get rid of the regulatory mess we've got out there, which is shutting down economic growth, and second of all, allowing the American public some dollars back that they can reinvest back into business again.
Well, that's certainly something our audience is waiting to get details on, of course, anything to spur the economy. Yet, in the meantime, the White House is dealing with the fallout from the different Russian investigations. Of course, we know that Rod Rosenstein, the Deputy Attorney General, is going to be giving a briefing to senators. What do you want to hear from the Deputy Attorney General when he testifies today?
Well, as a matter of fact, that's exactly where I go as soon as I leave this interview. What we want to hear basically are the facts. Here's the plan. Here's our plan to work through this process. We think this was a good step for the Justice Department. It's one that we wanted to see the Justice Department consider, but we wanted them to do it. We didn't want to dictate it to them. We believe in the regular processes from the institutions. This sends a message to the American public that these institutions, they really are trying to do the right thing, whether it be the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, or the FBI working with the Justice Department. All are very sincere in answering questions. In this particular case, having an independent counselor step in and actually try to determine as best they can whether or not there's anything out there that would require further prosecution is a good move. And as long as we've got the confidence of the American people, that's going to help the business environment here as well, and public confidence in Washington, D.C., which we'll take all the help we can get on that issue.
So speaking of confidence, are you 100% confident here that Donald Trump will be vindicated, found innocent of any allegations here?
There is absolutely no evidence of collusion between Mr. Trump, his campaign, and the Russian government. That so far has been the message that we've received. But we're also saying, look, we're going to follow this thing out. And if there are issues that we have to follow through and find out, we're not going to take preconceived notions, but we are going to do the best we can to investigate, to follow every single lead so that the American people have confidence that the final determination that's made is one that can be justified. And I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic that we're going to find out exactly that. But when you have a question of confidence, let's get to the bottom of it. Let's not stand up and make promises either way until we get all the facts. And if we got to dig deeper, we'll dig deeper.
Well, and that might take time. In the meantime, Senator, how concerned are you that the Republicans have limited political capital and it's being squandered on addressing crises that seem to emerge daily?
You deal with it. Look, right now in the Senate, we're working 3 days out of the week that we're here in an hour-and-a-half session with the entire Republican Senate talking about health care and about the direction that we're going. I think we're making progress. We're not putting a timeline on it, but I think we're going to come up with a process that the American people are going to feel good about when we're all done. The same with tax relief. The actual operations of the Senate are not being impeded by this investigation. That's being handled through regular order, which is the Judiciary Committee and the Science Select Committee on Intelligence. And that's the way this process should work. It allows the rest of us to go about and to get our business done of trying to rebuild this economy once again.